Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk about Josh Seiter. He is a star of The Bachelorette from 2015. He was in the Caitlin Bristow season of the show. And clearly, this is a straight man. He was on a show trying to date a woman. And in May this year, this guy came out as transgender. He started saying that he identifies as a woman. And I'm telling you, when I saw these videos on X or on TikTok, I would keep on scrolling because I didn't want to entertain this story. The guy looked ridiculous. I didn't even want to entertain it. I didn't investigate what was going on. All I read is that this person came out as trans and I was just like, okay. So when he came out as trans, he blamed it on being in a strict, religious, conservative family. So when he first, quote unquote, came out as trans, he wrote on Instagram, "I have struggled with my gender identity and resulting feelings of guilt and shame for as long as I can remember. I spent the last 3 decades trying to keep this side of me private. I felt I had no choice, given my upbringing in a strictly religious conservative family." Now it's no surprise that Josh has confirmed that he was trolling everybody for a whole 6 months. Well, maybe not a whole 6 months, but almost 6 months. So I'm like, great. Now it can stop. Please stop the madness.
Hey everyone! So as you know, I'm a feminist, and I think part of being a feminist is being inclusive and accepting other women who may look different than us. And so that's why I think we need to start normalizing women who don't have uteruses, and women that have facial and body hair, and women who may have different anatomy than the rest of us. And I think if we do that, we'll be a lot more beautiful and diverse of a people, and we'll just have a better world for it.
And this guy was clearly giving me Dylan Mulvaney vibes. A complete and utter mockery.
Hey everyone! So a lot of you have been asking how I'm feeling now that I'm in week 3 of hormone therapy. Well, I've definitely been hormonal. So I've been really moody lately and probably not the best company for the people I've been hanging around. But I'm trying to stay positive and do my best. So it hasn't been easy, but I know it's going to be worth it. So I just wanted to check in with you guys, give that little update. Bye everyone.
Day 1 of being a girl, and I have already cried 3 times. I wrote a scathing email that I did not send. I ordered dresses online that I couldn't afford.
And then he came out and criticized Dylan Mulvaney as if he was standing up for women and letting people know that it's wrong to mock women.
What are your thoughts on Dylan? I would love to hear your take.
Dylan is always mocking women. I mean, if you just watch the stuff that she puts out, it's really offensive. And it's just obvious that it's satire. And I don't think that's okay. I don't think it's right to make fun of trans people.
The guy claimed to be on hormones. He claimed to even be preparing for bottom surgery. He said he was going to have bottom surgery next year.
Hey everyone, go Cubbies. Gotta represent. I just wanted to hop on and answer one of the most frequently asked questions that I get. Do I plan on having surgery? I do. I plan on having bottom surgery, and I plan on doing it in about 12 months. As you guys know, the guidelines recommend about 12 months after starting HRT is the ideal time to have surgery if you're going to do it. So I plan on having bottom surgery in June of 2025. I will keep you guys updated as this process continues, but right now that is the plan, and I just wanted to let you guys know. Bye guys.
My apology to all the Bear fans. People reacted to this. Some people just ignored it and said this is just disgusting. Other people were thinking it was stunning and brave. And then there were those who were just concerned, like, are you okay? At one point, the guy checked himself into some sort of rehab facility. He said, I'm checking myself into a wellness facility for the next 48 hours, and they are taking my phone. I try to ignore the rampant hate and abuse I've received online these last few months, but it has taken a toll. I need to prioritize my health. I will be back soon. I love all my fans and appreciate everyone who has been supportive during this time. Maybe this will be good for him or it will make things worse. I still think he's been trolling the TRAs. Are we 100% sure he's not taking the piss out of the trans nonsense? The long con continues. Of course, there were a lot of people who just weren't buying it. He had his short hair, his usual haircut, those tattoos, and then he tried to start the whole bathroom debate, which again is infuriating because this is not something to be played with. But if he's trolling, I guess he's mocking the situation.
Hey everyone! Okay, so I have to admit, the women's bathroom is so much nicer than the men's bathroom. Did you know they even have waistbands for your feminine hygiene products? So it's just nice to feel accommodated and appreciated, and I just wanted to share. Bye everyone!
In all seriousness, a guy like that walks into the bathroom, the women's bathroom, and we have to accept it, or we're bigots. We have to see this person as stunning and brave. We have to see this person as perfectly harmless. This is where we're at now. So I get what he's doing, and yeah, it speaks volumes. A guy can walk into the bathroom who looks like this, and we're telling our young girls that they have to be okay with it. How crazy is that? And then there were people who became even more suspicious because he was caught a couple of times dressed as a regular dude. You claim to be trans, you claim that you think you're a woman, and then when it suits you, you just put on your regular guy clothes and go about town. Suspicious. Trans Bachelorette star shows off his new masculine look despite claiming to identify as a woman. Presenting a little more masculine today and feeling out of my comfort zone. Grateful I can choose my gender expression and change it according to how I'm feeling. So there were some taking this seriously because you know what? It did go on for 6 months. If it had gone on for a couple of weeks, people would have known, okay, it was sustained for a significant period of time. So I guess after the first few weeks, you will begin to believe that this person is serious. And we've seen examples of this, real life examples that have been no different from Josh. So people began to move from being skeptical to being concerned. And this was one of his most recent videos before revealing that he was trolling. And he had a mini meltdown after a man lectured him about what it's like to be a woman. I don't like it when men invade women's spaces, when they silence our opinion, and when our voices aren't heard.
I just don't like this. I don't like when men invade women's spaces, when they silence our opinions, and when our voices aren't heard. That's not okay. And I don't know why it's normalized. Why we normalize that.
It's either extremely funny or extremely infuriating. There was no in between. I just thought, I can't take this seriously. So it's all come out now.
And I think a lot of trans women are turned on at the thought of themselves being women. Guess what? It doesn't magically make them women. It doesn't mean we have to accept that they're women. They are simply men turned on at the thought of themselves being women. That's great. We live in a free country. You can do whatever you want, but don't make your fetish my truth. I don't have to accept it. To go to the second part of your question, how did I come up with this? I was talking with some friends and we said this is patently false. Men do not magically become women. I said let's look at the medical literature and what it says. It says that trans people don't have to transition, don't have to have gender dysphoria, don't have to get surgery, and don't have to get hormones. If they feel they are a different gender than their bio sex, then they are trans and they are valid. And I said, understandably, this is ridiculous. Then I can present exactly how I am, and I can be trans and valid if I say that's my gender identity. And so I said, let me prove how ridiculous this is using reductio ad absurdum by being trans for 5-6 months, and hopefully people will understand then how ridiculous this is.
If you're going to commit to something, you commit. And he did that. Wow. Like he said, you don't have to have any medical diagnosis, you don't have to prove anything medically, you don't have to have a doctor's note, so to speak. You don't have to be on hormones, all of that. You certainly don't have to have surgery, because that would be bigotry. to say that you haven't had surgery, so your identity is not as valid. That's considered bigotry, right? So we have situations where none of that is required, even when it comes to entering into bathrooms, entering into locker rooms that are for women, competing in sports. I remember back in the day, people used to tell me, well, they have to go through all these requirements. No, they don't. Yes, there are sporting bodies, they have their own rules, but there are also situations where the sporting body doesn't want to put any restrictions on the trans-identified male. The Canadian Powerlifting Union started off like that. A man could walk off the street and compete against women, and that literally happened with Avi Silverberg, and he still holds a record, by the way. Even though he was trying to make a point, he still actually holds a women's record. Because of the relaxed rules of that federation, a man could come off the street and crush the women, essentially, and that's what happened. They've since changed their rules, but it doesn't matter. They still allow male athletes to compete against women. When it comes to athletics, in our schools, girls track and field, there's no requirements, like in Connecticut, for example. All it takes is for the athlete to publicly declare that they consider themselves a woman, and a boy can compete in girls track and field. That's not right. And even with hormones and all of that, plenty of studies show that it doesn't make a significant difference to the advantages that they have just for being male, the advantages they have over female athletes. And what's happening when it comes to our safe spaces is we're inviting autogynephiliacs and calling it stunning and brave. We're inviting men who see dressing up as a woman as a fetish, and men who want access to women. We're opening up women's spaces to predators. Because once you have a policy that says that a man can enter into a women's changing room if he identifies as a woman, that means any man can. And even if the person has all of those things, surgery, hormones, a doctor's note, no woman should have to share a space with somebody who is male. The majority of women, one source I read said 81% has been through sexual harassment or some form of SA. And this makes the need for safe spaces even more important. That's why we have safe spaces. But we're forgetting that, all to appease the feelings of men who claim to be women, regardless of how ridiculous their claim is. All they need to do is claim it. Their word is so important, but the woman's safety comes last. So yeah, some people are going to be offended at Josh's actions. Pink News said that what he did was pointless and weird. That's a word that they've thrown around a lot recently. And there may be people who feel like he was mocking women. But clearly from what he said, that was not his intention. His intention was to actually highlight a very important point.
Well, I would say any biological man putting on woman face and putting on makeup is pulling a stunt. They are faking being a woman. And so what I did was I faked being a faker. I pretended to be a pretender. We are all the same. We're all men that were putting on makeup and dresses and claiming we were women. And I hope that this could help some people understand that just because you put on dresses and makeup as a man doesn't magically make you a woman.
All trans women are biological males who identify as women. All trans men are biological women who identify as men. But the medical guidelines and science use verbal legerdemain and semantical nonsense to create a nebulous set of rules that are so contradictory and so amorphous that they are utterly meaningless and fail to even define who is trans and who isn't. The fact that millions of people are debating if I'm a woman after living for 37 years as the man I am anatomically says all that needs to be said about how shallow the intellectual waters are that we are wading in with the trans movement and gender ideology. There are people that deserve our compassion and our help, that are struggling and going through crises, and what they need is someone who actually understands them and talks to them and gives them love, and not someone that feeds them lies for profit. Why do we tell people with gender dysphoria, yes, are correct, your delusions are correct? They need treatment, just like people with anorexia, just like people with schizophrenia. Sal says, a guy pretended to be a trans woman for 6 months to show people how ridiculous it is that anyone would think a man can be a woman. at all. If you're still not convinced, think of it this way. Would you have supported him going into a woman's only space last week, but not this week? Very good question. The fact that a man declares he's a woman out of his mouth means women shouldn't have protected spaces anymore? But oh, he turns around and says, oh, I was joking. Or I don't really feel that way. I just wanted to get into the women's bathroom. Oh, then you will change your mind? By then, it's too late. This should actually make people think twice before they start saying that we should open up our spaces because of gender ideology. There have been women who have been assaulted as a result of this. There have been women in prisons who have been assaulted as a result of this. There are lawsuits going on because of this as we speak. He made a good point. He trolled us for 6 months. But ultimately, the core of this is a very serious issue. And women's safety, girls' safety is at stake. You throw women to the wolves, to the autogynephiliacs, because you want to bow to gender ideology. How are women and girls supposed to tell the real trans woman from the pretend trans woman? I was seeing this guy a lot and thought he was just proving a point. But after a while, I was starting to think he liked it. Glad to see him being normal now. Yeah, because it went on for 6 months. It went on for so long that you have to start considering that this actually may be real to him. This is shocking. He would be arrested in Britain, and rightfully so. Wow. I wonder if this person last week was calling him stunning and brave. Speaking of Sal's point, this is an extremely great point. Last week, he could enter women-only spaces, and this week he can't. And all because of the privilege bestowed upon him by the gender cult as a male to say and do what he wants, regardless of the rights and safety of women. Please keep repeating this specific point. It's gold. And on that note, I think that's all that needs to be said. So did Josh fool you? Did you fall for it? Were you concerned? Or did you just want to make it go away? I don't want to see this. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.